And welcome back to another segment here on Catchin' Carp Outdoors, the podcast honoring Minnesota's great outdoors. And today, well, it's that kind of that weird time if you're a fisherman. Maybe a little bit late with the weather warming up, a little late for the ice fishing. It's too early for some of the open water stuff yet. So what do? Well, if you're in my spot, you plan. And maybe the best way to plan for the season is with a fairly new company out of the Golden Valley area, Omnia Fishing, and Matt Johnson, CEO, joins us now from that company. Good day, sir.
Yeah, good day to you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. And boy, I read about for folks listening out there. I read about Omnia Fishing in the Star Tribune. You had a featured article, very nice, and I didn't even know there was something like this that you could kind of shop by lake. I thought you just had to go into a booth and go into a bait shop and just buy whatever the guy at the store recommended.
Well, we're trying to change that as fast as possible. We're trying to give you some confidence to have that same experience online.
Well, and maybe we'll just start there, just in a nutshell, and we'll go on into this in more detail. But tell us about Omnia and what that is.
Yeah, sure. So we're a online tackle retailer located here in Minneapolis, but we actually ship to all 50 states. And the idea is we want to have the wide selection of online that you come to expect from a lot of other places that you buy things. We want to have a big wide selection, but we also want to make that selection as relevant to each one of our consumers based on the specific bodies of water that they're planning to head out to. And we as outdoorsmen know that the body of water, the structure, the species, the time of year, all those details make a big difference in how you select tackle, and we want to have a little bit of something for everyone.
And I would guess, I would assume you're a fisherman. You've been out to before. Maybe give a background on that, and how'd you get into the fishing and making this a lifelong business for you?
Yeah, I've been an angler my whole life. I grew up on the shores of Lake Superior in northern Wisconsin. Ended up in Minneapolis, and I would say I've done just about every type of fishing, and I have mastered none of them. But I've tried them all, at least. I try hard. So the idea for Omnia, I kind of joke that I have been in the fishing industry by accident for 10 years. I actually started a company in 2010 called Contour Innovations, and we built a mapping platform. We were taking sonar data and provided maps for it. And the first product that we created was actually a way to map invasive plants in lakes. And we were processing the data from Lowrance depth finders. Lowrance and my company, we started working together, and we built a product called Insight Genesis, which ultimately became Lowrance's social mapping platform, so you could supplement the maps, and then also the live mapping component on the depth finder. And that's really when I learned about the business of fishing, the industry itself, and recognize this big gap for the fishing industry, that we believe that the in-store experience is continuing to decline, and then the consumer, the angler, has really been left out. And so we wanted to create it's great that you mentioned that you still go into the store and you ask some questions. Well, if there's nobody that knows a lot about your lake, they can't necessarily provide you with a good suggestion. And we really wanted to approach the entire industry to say, this should be a solution to help people be engaged and be a part of the community, but also make a very, very unique shopping experience at each one of those water body levels. And you can file a fishing report and talk about what works. And really, me personally, it was a way to say, if I'm doing some research and I'm going to a lake, I'd love to hear from the guides up there and the people talking about what works in real time. Never give away locations, just about, it's this chartreuse bait because the water is really cloudy. And, this is where you should be throwing it. And we think that scales very well. And we think that we can help connect brands with consumers and really tie it all together for a great shopping experience.
Well, maybe let's talk about the process, because going back to my bait shop comparison there, if you're going to a lake and you got this bait shop on the shores, you're going to walk in, you're going to buy whatever bait you can find. You maybe talk to him and say, hey, what's biting and all that. So is that, how did you translate that into digital? How do you shop by a lake on a website?
Yeah, great question. So what we've done is we've taken and normalized a lot of information. So, it's like, how do we talk about the clarity of the water? We've built a 1 through 10 scale of very crystal clear waters all the way to murky. So just as an example, and when we look at when you're looking at a wall, some of the brands do this intentionally, which has caused some of the confusion. But, every Rapala lure comes in 7 arbitrary sizes and 75 different colors, and it creates a little bit of confusion. You're kind of overwhelmed with all the selection. So what we've done is, just as an example, we've taken DNR data, our own personal information. So let's start with clarity as an example. And for every state in Minnesota, we have a clarity value ranging in that 0 or 1 to 10. And then what we can do is we match up the product values. So we take put all of the shad wraps on a spectrum of color, and then we'll match those up with a clarity value. And so essentially that's like one input where if you landed on Mille Lacs, which is very crystal clear because of the zebra mussels, you're going to see very natural color patterns recommended because those are the colors of the baits that then match up really well with the conditions of that specific lake. You talk about a lake that's really cloudy and murky, you're going to see more bright colors, bigger blades, things like that. So we've just tried to sort down a huge, almost unmanageable set of product characteristics, take the details about the water body and match them up as best we can. And then the next kind of goes, seasonal pattern. If you've got largemouth bass in the lake and you're post-spawn, what do largemouth bass do in post-spawn? What are the techniques that work? And then what are the products that match those techniques? And so we're just trying to streamline and scale a way that people could help you make product selection and then automate it. And then most importantly, if somebody knows a lot about a water body or is more of on the expert level, doesn't need help, what we do is we have the ability to file a fishing report on the lake. So when you file a fishing report and somebody makes a purchase based on that suggestion, it feeds into the way we sort products, and the person making the recommendation actually gets a tackle credit in their account that they can use to buy tackle. So you have this intersection of people that know and want to help others and for the betterment of the sport, and then you have people that need a little bit of help. And the intersection is, kind of a best of both worlds, great e-commerce experience, lots of selection, relevant to the consumer, and we think that ends up in a good place.
Now, can you search by, so let's say technique? I know for me personally, when me and my dad go out fishing, we're usually trolling. We're doing whatever species we're going to troll. I know a lot of people, they may be cast. Some people might sit there and still fish and jig a little bit. Can you search by different types of fishing that a person does?
Yeah, definitely. So the way we've had to structure data and information in order to provide that relevant experience to the lake is also the same kind of sort patterns in a more traditional, or filter patterns in a more traditional shopping. So yeah, we're pretty bass centric right now, but we have a lot of walleye gear. So if you wanted to click into trolling, you're going to see the different species and opportunities, that you typically how you would fish for trolling, and you'll see planer boards and things like that. We sort that out. You wouldn't see that as a bass angler. So yeah, absolutely. Anything that we have for sorting products at the lake level is the ability to shop more traditionally as well.
And granted, we're doing this we're doing this interview here in Minnesota for a lot of the Minnesota listeners. But if someone is listening across the USA, wherever, you have tackle, you have the same type of thing for that state, whatever it is, too?
Yeah, definitely. Part of our stocking strategy, everything is here in Minnesota, but we ship to, like I said, we all ship to all 50 states. So in the initial phases, we were bringing in products that were very specific to the Midwest, which are where a majority of our user base was. But now that we've actually seen, like right now, a lot of our freshwater sales are going to the Georgia, South Carolina, Florida. As an example, we'll bring in brands that are very relevant, that have been built for the lake conditions down in Florida. And so you may see a brand like Gambler Lures that you don't see hanging on the shelves here in Minnesota. There may be some opportunities where that might be a relevant product, but that's a product that's very focused in selling within the state of Florida, as an example. And so, Gamblers ambassadors are on the site filing fishing reports in those Florida lakes. And then at some point, if there's a product that would work on a Minnesota lake, you'll see that product slowly start to make its way up. And that's important for us to helping the industry grow and these brands grow. But we do have to be very regionally and state conscious of how we select products as we've expanded. And today we're sitting at about 9,000 unique products, and we'll be at 15,000 by the end of the spring, and then we have the capacity to go to 25,000 unique products by the end of the year.
Now, I was looking over your website. You mentioned the ambassadors and fishing reports, and that's one of the neat things I think about the website is you go to your favorite lake, and I'm looking at, hey, there's fishing reports here. So where do you get those from? How do you get those reports, and how? I would guess they're fairly accurate if they're on there.
Yeah, surprisingly, it's really been something that's grown. About 1,500 fishing reports have been filed already throughout the United States. And like I mentioned, it's never about go fish in this location or giving away spots. It's always about product that are working in real time. So those fishing reports are filed based on a species and a season, and then they recommend a technique and then specific products within that technique. And that actually does influence the way we filter and sort products on each of those lake pages. That helps continue to create a very unique experience at that water body level. So we try to incentivize the people that file the reports. It's almost like if you think about a review, the fishing industry is just a little bit different. So instead of saying this pillow looks great on my couch, we're saying this product worked great. I caught a 4-pound bass on a drop shot rig targeting boulders or something like that. It's how you review that product, and then that shows up for the consumer. And then if I filed the report and you clicked it and bought the products based on that recommendation, I actually get a credit in my account. So you kind of put your knowledge out there, you help the anglers. And what we find is that almost 70% of the angling community still wants a little bit of help selecting product. And so we think those experts out there can help represent the brands they work with, promote the brands they like, promote their guide service, and then also just help the industry and send people to the water with a little bit more confidence. We all do better when the fishing industry doesn't have people churning out because they didn't have a great experience.
Now, I would guess the bulk of what we're talking about is probably bait and tackle type of stuff. But is there other equipment? Like if you're wondering maybe what kind of rod works, or what kind of other gear that I'm not thinking of at the moment here. But is it just bait and tackle, or is it all sorts of things associated with fishing?
Yeah, it's all things. And actually, Omnia as a brand represents, it's Latin for all things. So we sell a lot of rain suits and ice gear and a lot of rods and reels. So about 35 to 40% of our sales come from rods and the reels. And so where we want to start is at the thing closest to the fish's mouth. We think that's the thing that's most confusing. But then we work you up the line. So if we say that you should be fishing a drop shot targeting boulders, we'll give you the soft plastic. Here's the hook. Here's the line that's great for drop shotting. Here's the rod, here's the reel that has the right action and power. So we can try to fill out the entire set from kind of hand all the way down to the fish. And most importantly, we also produce our own content from pros and guides that talk about how to fish a drop shot. So we can get you in, make a suggestion on a technique, and then get you fish to hand, and then also give you some content on how to rig it up, and what you should be targeting, how you should move the rod. All of those things, we want it to be a one-stop shop to really start to empower anglers to learn the sport and get better at it.
And as we mentioned, this is a fairly new business for you guys in the last 2-3 years, I think it is. How has you seen this grown from day one until now?
Yeah, it's great. We've seen a big growth in our SKU selection. Obviously, we started the business in about a 2,000 square foot facility, and now we're in about a 10,000 square foot facility. Most importantly, the user base has just been absolutely fantastic. The people that are involved and follow up and provide us with feedback has been really great. Our users are incredibly loyal and have, once they purchase for the first time, almost half of them have already purchased again in our very short history. And we've seen, COVID has forced our model a little bit. People were shopping more online. So we grew just about 350% in 2020 from our 2019, which was our first year. In 2021, we're on pace to grow almost 500%. So even after having such a great year in 2020, 21 looks like it's going to be an even bigger year for us. So our team has expanded. There was 4 of us last year, 5 of us last year. And then we're already up to 10, and we've got quite a few open positions. So we're really seeing tremendous growth in this business. I think this was a missing component of the industry for a very long time.
Is there a popular product? If you could give a tip out there to a listener, is there something that's just really popular that works in a lot of lakes right now that you're seeing on the website?
That's a great question. We are selling, obviously that changes throughout the season. We sell, we're the only seller in America for an Australian spinnerbait that we are selling a lot of, just an incredible amount of those products. Works all year long and does very well. This is a kind of a high-end spinnerbait called Bassman. And then I'd say the other side, we probably are seeing some of the biggest growth right now in jerk baits. We see Mega Bass is a big brand that we sell a lot of. It's actually a pretty expensive jerk bait lure, called a Vision 110, and we see that being sold extremely well right now. Down in the South, we've seen a lot of soft plastics. That Gambler brand is great. And then I'd say that probably our fastest growing brand in the soft plastic category is called X-Zone. It's a brand out of New York, and we're helping with some of their national expansion. They make really great products, and we're seeing a lot of those sold as well.
Yeah, and we've talked about the website, but I don't think we've mentioned what the actually website address is. So tell us what the website address is for folks if they would like more information, and then tell us what they can find on the website too.
Sure. Yeah. So Omnia Fishing, OMNIA fishing.com, omniafishing.com. If you create an account, you can immediately start favoriting the lakes that you fish, the brands that you like, and maybe even some ambassadors that you think provide great information. And it creates a very, very customized experience. And you'll be able to look at your dashboard, see when people file new fishing reports, see when new products are launched or onboarded through the brands you care about. And then you really get to formulate that very custom experience for yourself. And I hope it's a great opportunity to get engaged, learn a little bit more, maybe make a little money on making recommendations on tackle. And I think the industry is really going to benefit from it, I hope.
So maybe like a Facebook for fishing, just not all those junk ads that you get.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly. Let's talk about techniques, not politics and crazy things.
That works for me. And you do have too. I was looking on the website. It's not just yes, you can buy stuff there, but you can get tips. And there's different things that are for the fishermen.
Yeah, absolutely. We even have our own media platform called Bass Utopia. And it's all about creating content and education and talking about, as seasonal patterns change, this is what fish are doing, and these are the baits that have been designed to catch them. So we actually find that we have a lot of traffic, and people spend a lot of time on the pages actually just watching videos and staying engaged. And we're always hoping to continue to expand on that piece of it. We want people to really have an enjoyable experience and replicate what you'd expect when you walk in store, and we're seeing really good results of that.
Speaking of expanding, I got just a couple of minutes left, about 2 or 3 minutes here. What's coming up in the future? What do you see as the future of Omnia Fishing?
Yeah, in 2021, we'll be very focused on expansion of our product selection, getting into the very regionally relevant baits. And then I would say towards the end of 2021, we'll start to make the shift to be a little bit more multi-species. A lot of opportunity in Great Lake species, panfish, crappie, walleye, and things like that. We've been pretty focused on bass. That's helped us expand nationally. But now it's time to start thinking about more multi-species growth for sure.
Sounds good. Hey, again, for the folks listening out there, it's omniafishing.com, the website. I've looked it over, and I think I'm going to be favoring that website, and we'll be looking at that next time me and my dad want to go out for fishing for a weekend on the lake.
That sounds great.
Hey, thanks for joining us, Matt, and we wish you the best.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That's Matt Johnson, CEO of Omnia Fishing, here on Catchin' Carp Outdoors and the podcast segment.
Catchin' Carp Outdoors has been a presentation of KDUZ, KARP, KGLB Radio, and the Inkstad Minnesota Radio Network. Check out all our past episodes on YouTube.